Okay. So this is going to be the first presentation, the first lecture for pharmacognosy today. And I just want to keep this session very interactive. So my name is Indu Pathania and I'm a PhD scholar from NIPER Mohali. I'm doing PhD in NIPER in the Department of Natural Products. And I've completed my master's in Department of Natural Products from NIPER Mohali also. So today we are going to cover the topic which is basic metabolic pathways. Okay. So before going to the basics of metabolic pathways, I would love to ask some questions regarding metabolism. Okay. This is the course. This is the content basically which we are going to cover today. We'll take the brief introduction of biosynthetic pathways of secondary metabolites, biogenesis, pharmaceutically important compounds, and we'll cover some basic pathways. I think most of you have already studied these pathways. What is acetate pathway? What is sticamic acid pathway? What is acetate malonate pathway? So let me ask you some questions. What are secondary metabolites or what are primary metabolites? Anyone from you? You can speak also. It's okay. Fine. Anyone? Anyone? If you don't want to speak, it's okay. You can write in the chat box. I can read. Let's keep it more interactive, guys. Otherwise, I'll just keep on going, showing my presentation, and it will not be interactive, huh? Don't know. Okay. Anyone? What is primary metabolite? What is secondary metabolite? Okay, secondary metabolites are derived from primary metabolites. Nice. Pooja is saying primary metabolites are used by plants for their growth. Very nice, very nice. So very good definition is given by Pooja here. She's saying that primary metabolites are something which is used by plants for their growth. And what are secondary metabolites? So secondary metabolites, exactly, they are derived from primary metabolites, and they are basically present to adapt the environmental stress. They serve as defense, they protect, and they sometimes like offensive chemicals against the microorganisms, insects, and higher herbivorous predators as well. Also, they are sometimes considered as to be the waste or secretory products of the plants, right? So this is something which is one more definition is given by Jivita, who is saying she is saying that secondary metabolites have medicinal property. Very nice. Yeah, Pooja is saying secondary are used as pharmacologically active substances. Very nice. Okay, thank you, people. Now we'll move on to the next thing. So this is something. Can you see my third slide? Can you see my third slide? In this slide, we are going to see how these secondary metabolites are formed. Okay, and before this, how we will know these secondary metabolites are forming and how exactly we get to know what pathway they are following. To know that pathway, we generally, how do we know? We examine by means of isotopically labeled precursors, right? So in the whole lecture and even in the whole course, when we'll study more about secondary metabolites and all, we'll focus on the topics along with the questions, which are very important for GPAT or NIPER exams, right? So
Hmm.
you might have studied about pentose phosphate, right? And glycolysis also. So when carbohydrates undergoes glycolysis, it forms pyruvic acid, right? This pyruvic acid forms acetyl coenzyme, and acetyl coenzyme, when undergoes acetate malonate pathways, it forms different secondary metabolites like fatty acids, polyketides. These polyketides are generally forms the aromatic type of compounds. This is just a basic pathway. We'll know how these individual pathway follows, how this acetate malonate pathway follow, how this shikimic acid pathway follows, and others, right? The same thing, acetyl coenzyme A, when undergoes TCA cycle, it forms amino acids. And amino acids form further proteins, alkaloids, nucleic acids, and all, right? Also, this acetyl coenzyme forms terpenoids and steroids like compounds. So the pathway which it is following, it is acetate malonate pathway. Fine. We'll start with the first topic, which is acetate malonate pathway. Okay. This acetyl coenzyme, which was which was forming here by pyruvic acid, it undergoes a pathway, and it basically, what happens when acetyl coenzyme, it react with the different type of enzymes, it follows different steps, right? And in different steps, this acetyl coenzyme forms acetyl coenzyme, further malonic acid, and DAMP, geranyl pyrophosphate, phenyl pyrophosphate, and when phenyl pyrophosphate undergoes a condensation of two molecules, it will form squalene. But what is important in this pathway, we'll get to know later. This acetyl coenzyme A, when combines with melanin coenzyme A and others, it will undergoes different type of reactions and form different type of products. But in your GPAT or NIPER exam, these questions will not gonna ask. The examiner will not gonna ask how this pathways follows, and uh, what they will ask the products, or they will ask like, if for example, when alkaloid is forming, right? So what is the precursor for this particular alkaloid? So we are going to see that type of questions in this presentation, right? Other important pathway is shikimic acid pathway, right? So this shikimic acid pathway is something which is starts again with the phosphoryl pyruvate. When it combines with the erythrose 4 phosphate, it undergoes under different enzymatic conditions and follows different type of products, which is mainly it is shikimic acid, because of which this pathway is known as shikimic acid pathway, right? Now this shikimic acid pathway, when reacted with one enzyme which is shikimate kinase, it forms different type of products. The major one is chorismic acid here. This chorismic acid, when form PABA, it forms folates. When it forms priphenate, it forms phenylalanine and tyrosine. These phenylalanine and tyrosine form different type of secondary metabolites. Now, whatever the type of flavonoids, you might have studied about flavonoids, which are the kind of polyphenolic compounds, they basically form because of this pathway. So that follows shikimic acid pathway. Anthranilate also forms by shikimic acid pathway, and finally that forms a tryptophan.
Indu ma'am,
Now, this is the
hello.
basic diastinic. Yes.
Ma'am, will you please turn on the presentation mode so that slides will be like get it can be more visible.
Now is it
Yeah,
okay?
it's fine. Yeah, it's fine now. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, diosgenin, you might have heard about diosgenin. This is very important example, and sometime maybe I have seen some questions regarding this diosgenin and other similar type of compounds. So, I focused on this. So, squalene, as I've discussed in the previous slides, this is this again follows the acetate malonate pathway, and this squalene, when undergoes different enzymatic pathway, it forms lenosterols and cholesterol. This cholesterol finally, when undergoes again some enzymatic condition, it forms diosgenin. Now, what is the important question for GPAT here? How diosgenin is formed? So maybe you can see multiple MCQs here. So what type of questions may come? What is the precursor? What is the pathway? And how it is forming? What type of enzymes which are required to form a diosgenin, right? You can note down the questions like I am saying in the slides in between. So in diosgenin, as you can see the structure here, it is type of steroid, right? So we can see steroid, cholesterol also is steroid. So what is the precursor for this type of synthesis? That is a squalene, right? And what are the enzymes which are responsible to form a diosgenin? These are the following enzymes, as you can see in the slide, that is squalene epoxidase, oxidosqualene cyclase, sterol demethylase, right? Now atropine. So as I've discussed before that, another one important example, that is atropine. Students who are preparing GPAT for GPAT might have studied this question. This is very repetitive question for I've seen in multiple GPAT exams. What is the precursor for atropine? You know that it is a kind of alkaloid, right? How it is forming? So most of the time the question was, what is the precursor for atropine? So as you can see in the slide, it is ornithine. Now how it is forming? Ornithine, when undergoes methylation, it forms n-methyl ornithine. When it goes undergoes decarboxylation, it forms n-methyl putrescine, and undergoes different type of reactions: oxidation, acetic acid, dehydrogenation, aldol condensation, reduction, and all. It finally forming the atropine. Now, what other important question along with ornithine? What other type of compound is responsible? That is phenylalanine. So these both are forming one tropine and tropic acid, which finally combines and form the atropine, right? Now the tropine is forming because of ornithine, and this tropic acid is forming because of phenylalanine. When these both type of compounds are reacting together, they are forming atropine. So this is important type of compound biosynthesis reaction, which might have asked you, which might can come in your GPAT exam this year also. So these are very basic type of reactions. One or two, three slides more, then we'll end with the biosynthesis. Yeah. So this is again a very important question here. How quinine is forming? So I've discussed about tryptophan in your shikimic acid pathway, right? Now this tryptophan, when undergoes different type of decarboxylation reaction, it forming tryptamine, and when it undergoes hydrolysis and decarboxylation, it finally forming the quinone and synconine and quinine type of compounds. So this is again a very important reaction, and when again a very important biosynthetic pathway. In this also, what is important question, that how your quinine is formed? What is the precursor for quinine? So here it is tryptophan. And what are the type of different reactions which are responsible? That are also we can see here, like hydrolysis and decarboxylation. You can take the screenshot of this reaction as well if you want to remember. But for now, the important question is how it is forming. So that is tryptophan. How quinine is forming, how synconine type of compounds are forming, what is the biosynthetic precursor for that? That is tryptophan. Again, a very important, that is reserpine. So reserpine is
So
again
reserpine
forming
is
by a
again forming
tryptophan.
by a
Sorry, but here it is
here
forming a
it's from
strychnine rearrangement, which is forming a shift base, and that forms reserpine. But in both cases, the tryptophan is the precursor. Now this is very important and one of the important and interesting case of morphine biosynthesis. Here again, this tyrosine is forming because of the shikmic acid pathway, and this tyrosine is responsible for the synthesis of morphine. Now, different type of questions may come in this, like codeine and morphine. Maybe the examiner can ask for codeine, maybe they will ask for morphine, but the answer will remain the same. That is tyrosine. How it is forming? Because of tyrosine. And how tyrosine is formed, that you again have to see because of the shikmic acid pathway. So this is the acetate malonate pathway again, which is responsible for the biosynthesis of morphine. So these are the basic biosynthetic pathways uh, which I have showed. If any one of you have any question, they can ask, because there is nothing more. Very, I cannot explain you very deeply about acetate malonate pathway, because in GPAT or in NIPER they are not going to ask you any deep question. They are not going to ask you any chemical reaction from this. The basic question they will ask: what is the precursor, what are the enzymes, and how it is forming, what is the pathway. So, in the next few classes, we'll discuss one by one, or I'll give you the chart that how different type of alkaloids, or how flavonoids, or how any compounds which are steroid derivative, they're forming from different pathways. So I'll give you a chart in next few lectures. So that's all from my side in today's lecture. If you have any question from biosynthetic pathway, you can ask.